So I am sharing the screen. So we'll talk about a finished product. Okay. So the finished can you see the screen, everyone?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yes, Vasu.
okay. So when you are into a manufacturing business, the primary thing which we'll be considering is the finished product. Say the finished product which any finished product, maybe any manufacturing business who are into this manufacturing, so they will be concentrating on the finished product. But here in this example, don't consider this as a, I mean, I don't consider this as an as the only thing, but I'm just giving you an example where we can try this example and try and map this to SAP, and how it can be taken as an understanding. So that mapping part will try and okay. So expect the others to be in mute. Okay. So as a finished product, if I am taking it as mm, say a ferro manganese is a finished product. Okay, we were having ferro manganese or a ferro silicon or a ferro chrome. So these are some steel alloys. Okay, so these were some products which they were manufacturing. Okay, so let us, if you are talking about a ferro manganese, okay, let's say for a ferro silicon, this is the final product. There were few raw materials that were being used, right? So for the raw materials, we were using quartz and we were using some charcoal as a and we were using some mill scale. This mill scale is nothing but an iron dust kind of. Okay, so there was a flux needed, that is it is dolomite. Okay, so these were few components that were being used. So we had again, now what is the capacity of the production unit they are having? Okay, so that was even considered. Maybe per day, what is the per day capacity? Maybe if per day on a full load, say 30 tons, 30 metric tons. Okay, so taking this as an example, uh, and okay, now let us get into, so what are, I mean, again on the operations front, what are the operations that they go through? So maybe the first operation is, sorry, maybe the first operation is mixing of raw materials, and the second operation The second operation is anyone who is not on mute, can you mute? Or is there any chance I can mute them? Other than whenever you require, you can. Is it okay? Thank you. I think everyone are on mute now. Yeah. So there is a mixing. There is an operation called charging. There is an operation operation called melting, and fourth there is an operation there is a fourth operation called uh, tapping. So once they mix the first operation, they mix the raw material, and once the mixing of the raw material in a certain composition, the mixed raw material is being charged into the furnace. Okay, so furnace is a is an area where the complete raw material is charged and is allowed for heating. Okay, maybe the heating process is here they used to heat through an electricity um, electrodes. Okay, so there were some electricity electrodes which were through which there was an electricity that was getting passed to it, and ultimately they were creating a heat energy where due to that heat energy this the operation of mixing the raw material, I mean charging the raw after the material is being charged into the furnace, it was allowed to get into a molten state. So once this molten state material was reached to a certain temperature, which was checked, and that was allowed to get tapped out of the furnace. Okay, so that was a process, and after tapping, it was allowed to get cooled. Then that cooled, I mean, metal was broken into, I mean, pieces of their desired size, and they were allowed for packing. And that was again, I mean, that was again a raw material for a further steel making process, because these finished products of ferromanganese or a ferrochrome or a ferrosilicon, these are used in other steel making processes as a raw material. So the unit for which we there is a production process as for only specifically for ferromanganese or ferrosilicon or ferrochrome. And there are you can take an example of any manufacturing business. Why I'm mentioning this is just to try and map it to SAP. So you can you can take an example of any product. It will be having a raw material, or a subsequent components that are required to produce it. There will be a set of operations that need to be executed to produce that product. Okay, there will be a demand, I mean, maybe what triggers the production. There may be a plan, or there may be a forecast that will be triggering the production. Okay, or there may be, or it can be a sales order based, maybe a kind of a sales order. They are receiving it from any customer, and that sales order, on basis of that sales order, they are triggering a production, or they are forecasting demand, saying maybe in the depending on the prehistoric data of their sales, they are forecasting something for this month and the coming months, and they are preparing, uh, that is getting triggered as a production. And once this production orders are been given to the production department, and they are executing the manufacturing part of the business. Okay, so this is, I mean, just to give you an understanding on how actually any manufacturing business. So whenever you connect with any manufacturing product, okay, maybe you can connect to, I mean, if you have not worked, even you can connect to any product manufacturing business, and deeply look into what are the stages it goes through, and what actually what actually planning they go for, and any everything. I mean, after that, if you come to SAP and try and map that process to SAP, and think in the SAP terms, like maybe here in currently, as we discussed in the last session, as we discussed, in SAP we will be having, I told you about a structure, right? Maybe we have a master data in which we will be having a finished product, and semi-finished or raw materials. We will be having a bill of materials. We will be having a routing. Then we will be considering this. We will be giving a plan, and depending on the planning of demand, we will be getting a production order. Okay, and after that, we executed the production order, and we confirmed that this has been produced. And after that confirmation, there was a goods receipt done, which was again posted to the storage location, final storage location. So this is a common scenario if you map it to any product which you know. Okay, so this was just a brief on uh, how you can take any product into your understanding and map it to a general SAP standard. Okay, so coming ahead, we'll be discussing on. Let me log into SAP. So today, even I am just discussing on some basics, where we can just touch base on some common concepts. I mean, not getting directly into the sessions where we will start the complete training, but I'm just touching all the areas where we can just have an understanding on how we will be going there. So again, we will be going into a production order. Now, when we talk about a production order, as from the PP front, production order is the base object where where everything is getting accumulated. Right?
Vasu, are you sharing your screen?
Yeah. Can you see my screen?
Yes, Vasu.
Yeah. So now, as I said in the previous session, the production order is the only object where all the components, or I mean all the objects are brought in together and been looked in the production order. So if you're talking about a components or a bill of material, say this is the finished product, and we need some components to produce it. So while creating the production order, it will check the first thing, the production order program, I mean, the creation program will check whether it is having a bill of material and a operation set. So bill of material is being created in the master data, and operation is also being created. So it will check for the master data presence uh, in the in the system, okay, in the database. So if say there is no routing or there is no set of operation, there is an a setting uh, where the program, it will ask, if there is no operation, then it will ask us to create a default operation. System can create a production order with a default operation, okay. So what happens, and in a production order, when a production order is getting created, or what are the functions of a production order, okay. So when we talk about the functions of a production order, okay, the production order can be involved into various excuse me production order can be involved into um, involved in different functions. The first thing is, it is used for the in this while creating the production order, it checks the availability of the components, okay, whether the components quantities that are required are available or not, okay. So after that, I mean, once even that is one of the functionality, okay. if if uh, if something is missing, it will come up with a log of missing parts, okay. Maybe say some component, if I say this component, these are the two components, if any individual component is not does not exists, I mean, maybe the quantity of stock is not available. In that case, there will be a log in the missing parts. If you go to missing parts, so you can get it here, okay. Now both, I think, available for this. So we will be getting a message only. These are the checks which will be happening in background, okay. So there will be this will be updated to this data. When it is getting created, this will be updated to a soft floor information system, okay. There is a report that SAP will be maybe from the management side on the details of the production orders that they may be requiring, is a soft floor information system, and they can get any order details from there. So this will be getting updated in the soft floor information system, okay. There will be uh, there will be a cost analysis that is being done on the production order again, okay. And it includes the raw materials cost, okay, the quantity of the raw material with the respective cost. It includes the operational cost. See, for each operation, we have, say, for each operation, there is a work center involved. So this work center can be um, this work center can be a machine or a group of people, but the effort of the work center is always tracked with respect to a cost center. So whatever costs that is got indulged is being charged on the production order, okay. So after being costing getting executed, it also classifies various objects. Like, classifies means it also brings together all the objects, maybe the components, the routing, and various data related, and whatever MRP functions we have given. It brings in and it checks all the parameters, and it creates the production order, so ultimately, what actually we understand from the production order is, it specifies, like, what to be what is to be produced, and where it to be produced, and what is the quantity that is to be produced. If you go to the header of it, you have a quantity that only 3 quantity has to be produced, right? So this is in the discrete manufacturing. We will be going for a production order and with a respective quantity. Okay, and we can even have this scheduling types. We will go in details with the scheduling types, even the schedule margin key. Say there will be scheduling if you're asking the setting for a backward date, then it will take a backward date, and schedule uh, it will schedule the finish date of the production order as per the planning. Okay, when you talk about a current date, it will take the start date as the today current date, and it will schedule a future date for a completion or a finish date. So there will be some floats. So when after the there will be some floats, like floats in sense there will be some time floats. When we have planned a production order process, there will be few floats saying today, if we are planning to start the production order, but the actual start date is tomorrow. Okay, so there is a float that is allowed. Okay, maybe a 1 day float. So these floats are being configured in background, and these kind of floats, maybe we are expecting a finish date on say certain date, but the actual finish date is something maybe after 1 day or 2 days. But there is a certain benchmark that okay, it shouldn't cross this. So we have to define the floats and tell the system that this is the float that will be allowed. Okay, so these floats are being configured into an object called a schedule margin key. Okay, so in details we will be going when we will be discussing on the material master front. We will be discussing this schedule margin key and floats, and how the scheduling everything happens. So but on the production order front, when you talk on the production order front, in the discrete manufacturing, as you know, we will be creating these production orders. And in case of a process manufacturing, we will be going with the process orders. And in repetitive manufacturing, there will be orders that are created, but a planned order is the is the only entity where the complete cost is being accumulated. So there is another object called a product cost collector, which is used in the repetitive manufacturing phase. So in the coming sessions, we will be running a scenarios related to a discrete manufacturing. Okay, and what are the master data related to discrete manufacturing? What are the how a planning is being run in the discrete manufacturing, and how order is being executed in the discrete manufacturing. Other than that, from the process industry front, we will be discussing the complete master data and running a end-to-end scenario. But on the configuration front, it's almost the same for discrete and process. But there will be few differences which can be discussed while we are discussing on the configurations. Okay, so understanding on the configurations, what actually we understand a configuration is. Any idea who are in this session? Any idea on what actually you understand on the configuration word? Anyone?
I mean, it's a setting in system SAP how you want to execute the process. So you have to configure some elements,
Mhm.
and I mean, you have whole lot of uh, so you have master data involved, you have document types involved, then you have output types. So
Yeah.
whatever settings you have to do in the system,
Correct.
not the customization, not the coding, but the parameters which have to be set in system to make the process work is nothing but your configuration. And whatever you're seeing right now in SPRO.
Yeah.
is in that.
So I will say, when you log into the system, I mean, maybe there will be few new people who might not be knowing this. When you log in, this is the screen which you come across, and this is a transactional screen. I'm sorry, this will be a transactional input screen where you can go to any transactions here, and we have some major transactions here, which from which you can go to a specific path and execute this transaction. But when you talk about a configuration or a settings, background settings, then you have to go to a transaction called SPRO. Okay. And so initially we will discuss on the enterprise structure going ahead, but this is where you can go and define uh, for our for being a PP consultant, we will be some time we will be responsible. We may be responsible to create a plan, but that's a general case where where we should know on creating a plant. Okay, so but the responsibility is with either mostly. Sometimes it may be asked to us also to create it. Okay, so if you go to define, copy, delete, check plant, if you go here, you have a define plant. Okay, so these are some standard plants. I believe most of you have an access, maybe who are into this SAP and they have taken a registration. Maybe they are having this access. You can check, just go to this path and check check the plants. Okay, and if you are selecting this and want to go to details, so this is how it looks. So you have a plant and you have an address to it. I mean the details of the plant and all. So all this data has to be entered when you are creating a new plant. So for a manufacturing business, above plant there are other entities like company code, and there will be some controlling area. So all those things will be taken care by the FICO team. But from a PP perspective, the highest level of enterprise structure is plant, because the manufacturing happens at a plant level. Okay, so we should understand why I'm showing you the plant is, we should understand how where exactly a plant is being defined. And the other thing is, in each plant we will be having few storage locations, right? So that we can either pick some material from that storage location or post some material to that storage location. So to understand the uh, stock issuing and stock posting things, we will be having some storage locations even in the plants. So these are the two things which we should remember from the enterprise structure. I mean, on a generic point of view, but we going ahead, we will be having a sessions dedicatedly to create an enterprise structure from the company code level to the assignment of a plant and to the assignment of storage locations and everything. Okay, so just to understand like how uh, how uh, uh, how a setting screen is being displayed. Okay, so these are some areas where you once you create it. Okay, so say once you create it, it creates a transport. Okay, whenever you do something in an SPRO, or whenever you do a setting in a SPRO, you are making sure that this change is you are making this change for the complete business run in background. Okay, and that change has to be adopted throughout the business, right? So when you do that change, these changes are stored in an object called a transport. Okay, so, and suppose, like, maybe I can try and create one plan and see whether it creates. Okay, okay, let us take this as a reference plant. Okay, and if you go to copy as, or you can go to new entries and enter your own details. But when you go to copy as, so you can name here any plant, maybe test. Okay, and you can name something as test plant. You can give these details. Test manufacturing. So it will ask for more details. Right? Then you can just save it. So we have a plant created as test. Right? So when you save it, ideally it should ask for a transport. So this is the area which I am talking about. So when you are into a functional role, you will be creating many. I mean, you will be doing many settings where you may need to come across this point. So when you do any setting, it will trigger a transport. So why a transport is required here? So when you do a change in background, okay, these changes will be stored in an object called a transport. Either you have to give an existing transport which you have. If you go to search on an existing transport, you can always go here and check. There will be you can include objects of this type in customer request. So it is asking, I mean, for my ID there are no objects. Okay, so if there are any requests on your ID, you can always store in that request, or else you can always create a request. Okay, if you are creating a request, so plant configuration, let's name it as plant configuration. Okay, let's see project, but I don't think this is a mandate field. So we have given a short description. If this um, customization what you have done is with respect to a specific project, then you can always mention the project name. When you are handling a client system, and they have a project which a team is working, they will create a project and you can assign those transports to that specific project. Okay, so you can select from here, as because there are no projects that are being defined here, so it is not coming up. But I mean, this is just to understand. Okay, you can assign to your project and you can save it. So now there is a number that get triggered as a request, a transport request. So once this request has been created, right, so I can say continue. This means this change what you have done has been stored in this transport what you have created. Now whenever another thing, whenever you do a change, you are always supposed to do the changes in the SPRO only in the development systems. Okay, because you are developing something new, and only you are supposed to do in the development client. So I mean, again, I mean, on the system architecture, you will be having three clients. One will be a development system, the other will be a quality system, and the last one is a live system, that is a production system. The actual business is being run in the production system, that is the live system. Maybe you might be aware of it. But when it comes to the quality system is being used for testing the new developments, we will say. Okay, or we can use it to to give some training to the users even. Okay, kind of. So whatever, and the development system is the place where you will be uh, executing the developments, any customizations, configurations, and you will be creating these changes, or you will be creating the custom configurations, and you will be creating the transports. And these transports, once you release it, so you can release it by requesting it to, suppose you want this plant to be you find a plant and you have tested it in the development system. Okay, then it will be moved to the uh, next quality system. Excuse me. Come forward. So that will be moved to the quality system. So once this is moved to the quality system, in quality system you will be testing, or you will be asking, excuse me, yeah, either you will be testing, once you test it, you may ask business to test, or you may ask, you can give a training on how to be tested to the business. Okay, and once this testing is being completed in the quality system, the same transport you can again request to move it to production, so that they can use in their actual business scenarios. So there is no need of doing separately in each and every system. So you are only developing things in development system, and you are moving changes from development to quality and quality to production. These transports you will come across in if there are any gaps. Suppose yesterday we were discussing on the business blueprinting phase, and in business blueprinting phase, what we discussed is we discussed initially a team for a project implementation phase. A team will be visiting the business areas, and concerned department consultants, maybe a manufacturing consultant or a PP consultant, will be discussing it with the manufacturing department, and he will be understanding the as is business of it. So he will be understanding what is the actual business they are going through, what is the actual process, what is the material, what is the finished product, what is the bill of material they are using, what is the operations they go through, how the demand is coming through a production order, and how a production order is getting created for them. Everything is being discussed, and it has been mapped to SAP now. Okay, now there is a 2B document that has to be done. Okay, so this, in the 2B, how it is mapped. So if the finished material is this, yes, we can create this finished material. Okay, now in the as is process for producing this finished material, there are some set of components that are required, so we can create a bill of material for it. These are the set of operations which business goes through for creating this material. So this is a routing which we have to create for, or a task list that we have to create for. Okay. So in this way, we will prepare a document, business blueprinting. But there are some areas where maybe the as is not fitting to a standard SAP that has been given to us. Maybe you can say that as a you can consider that as a gap. Okay. And in this gap areas, um, there is another deliverable that you have to create, is what called as a functional specification document. Okay. So what is the solution you will be giving from the functional side to the business on this gap? This is the complete understanding which you give through this document. So what happens this in what is present in this document, in this functional specification document, is you will be preparing a functional specification document. And this document, I mean, this is this you have to understand, because this is adopted across all the projects, you know. So you should understand this this document even when you are uh, working in a live scenarios. Okay. So this functional specification document will be containing what exactly the requirement is. So the as is process. So the as is, what is the as is requirement, and what is the to be solution you will be going to give. Okay. So there may be a new program that has to be written. Okay. Maybe there is maybe the business requires a report which is not there in the standard. Maybe they require what is the finished material and what is the related production order and so date. Okay. And they may be requiring what are the other components and quantities required. So they need these fields in a specific report. They have that custom representation on how they look into a report, and they want it in that way. Maybe I'm just saying maybe you don't have it in a standard. In those cases, you have to develop it. You have to bring that data into a customized screen. You have to develop that, and how you will develop that. So you have complete data. Okay, you have a complete data in the database layer of SAP. Okay, so it is there in the form of tables. So if you want to see the tables, you can go to SE16N, and you can always check tables, and you have to remember or you have to know some even most of the production related tables, or even I will say the PP tables. There are data tables for production order, for bill of materials, for routings, for material master, everything. Okay, so if you talk about a production order, okay, so you have this data. So you have these tables. So AUFK is one table, and just to let you know how actually a data is being maintained. Okay. Now, if you say execute, you have this data. So these are the orders you have, and this is the order type you have, and this has been created by these users, and this is being created on the specific date. All this data is being captured in these tables. This is just an example of table. You will be having many tables related. You will be having a table for header data. You will be having a table for confirmations. You will be having a data for goods receipt postings, and for reservations. Everything you will be having a table. So all the data, whatever you are creating, will be stored in the database. And now the question may be how you will be developing something. Okay. In standard, as we discussed, maybe in the standard report, maybe the business is expecting a customized report in which they expect an order to be displayed and only the company code and plan to be displayed. Just assume that there is no standard report which SCP gives these three fields in one report. Just assume. Okay. So as being a PP consultant, you will be responsible to develop that report for them, and you will be responsible to uh, to develop it and to deliver that. So initially, when you are, for this reason, you have to create, because this is a gap, right? For this reason, you have to create a document called functional specification document. And in this functional specification document, you will initially, I will tell, I'm going into the content of the document. Okay. You will be initially putting what is the requirement in it, and you will be putting a to be solution to it. So what solution you are giving. So now from the solution front, why I showed you this table says, from the solution front, you require the production order field and a company code field and a plant field in their report. Okay. So when you when you when you try and when you draft the solution for it, how you will get a production order field? So the only way you can tell, you have to give this to a technical person. So he has to write a program to get this data, right? So there is whenever there is a gap, there is a developer involvement. Okay, there is an ABAP consultant involvement. So what you have to do from the functional side is you have to give the functional specs, okay, and you have to give a functional solution, a functional design. Then taking that functional design, a developer will be taking that functional design and he will be developing a program related. And that program, once developed and run, you will get the output. So how you will, for this case, how you will give functional design. So the way we have to give is we need a screen where we will input, just like say, like I will show you a standard screen. Okay, like go to production order. So this is a 001. Okay, now maybe this is a front end screen. So what you need in the front end, what business wants to enter in the front end, maybe they want to see, okay, only plant. They want to enter only plant. Okay, so the input area is input field is plant. Okay, so for plant, where you will bring the data from. So it will be, you will be bringing it from a plant related table, or you will be bringing it from a table where the plant data is existing. Okay, and maybe for the output, what is the output that is required is, maybe the output they require is in that plant, what are the orders, and what is the company code, or who has created those orders. Maybe this data they require. What are the orders and who has created those orders? They want to see that as a report. So in that case, you have to design in a way that it should call an AUFK table, and it should, when you enter a specific plant, suppose here if in this table, if we have a plant field, let's see, we have a plant. Yeah, so if we have a plant field, so the entry field, they have, the program should take that entry field and enter it in background in this table and fetch the data related. Suppose I will go for TJ03. Okay, and for this plant, these are the orders. So what fields they actually require? Order and entered by, and this plant value. Maybe any other field also you can, maybe the description also they want or something. So once you get this field, so how you will tell that from AUFK table get this order number, get this plant number, and get this entered by number, okay, data. So by this, you can fetch all the data, and in the output screen, you can always give these fields which are required to the developer, and this is the output what we require, and this is the logic how you have to fetch. You have to give the table name, and you have to give the logic on how these fields are pulled. Once you give this, and you give this design in a technical, I mean functional specification document, what he will be giving is, in that document he will be giving a technical solution to it, and he will be drafting a technical solution to it. Okay, so once that technical solution is drafted, you have to mention how you will be going to test it. So what are the test scripts that you have to involved to test this report? So you have to mention, okay, I have a test steps where I will, in the first step, I will be going into this program that has developed maybe a specific transaction code, that is CEO221 or something. We have to, there might be, it will be a customized code, maybe a JED code, what we'll say. And after that, once you give a test steps, you have to involve that test steps in that event document. Sometimes they involve, and in some cases they keep it different. Okay, but you have to create a test case for it. Okay, so once this document is completed, okay, it is sent for an approval to the process owner side or something. Maybe because in real-time business, you will be having, for each and every department, they will be having a process owners who own the complete processes, okay, from the business side. For PP business, there will be a process owners. There will be process owners from FI side, quality management side, all those. So they will be checking whether this solution which we have given is actually as per the requirement, or they need some change to it. Trust me, they will be having a knowledge of SAP and business also. Okay, so they will be checking and they will be approving it. Once they approve it, you can ask your developer to start the development. Okay, so your developer will be starting the development, and after he completes it, he will, from each side, he will do an initial round of testing. So this development is being done in the development system. Okay, and whatever program has been developed, okay, for his development, he will store that changes in a transport request, and that transport request, which is related to a development of an ABAP or a program, is called a workbench request. You can define it as a workbench request, and the settings which you do in background, maybe a plant creation or any customization any configuration which we do in SPRO, is a customizing request or a transport request. So when it is a program, it is a workbench request. Okay, so they will be creating that program, and they will be doing an initial round of testing, and they will be requesting you, as you are the functional consultant, you will be requested for a unit testing. So you have to test it. The test case which you have developed or you have created, you have to test it in the development system. And once you test it, if you find any gap, you have to again go back to the developer and ask him to develop as it is, as you require, because you need the exact test output what you want. So once that is satisfied, then you can ask the developer to release his transport to the quality system. Now when the transport is released, it moves to the quality system. Now, as from the functional side, you have to do a test again in the quality. You have to document it, the testing. You have to document the testing, and that document has to be shared again to the process owners, and they have to approve it again. And once that is approved, you can request business users, okay, to test it, or you can train them to test it. Okay, and once they get trained and they give you an approval for that change, yes, you are allowed to move that transport or that functionality what you have developed that to the production level. Okay. So this is the process, complete process when you talk about gaps. So this is how gaps are being handled. And trust me, being a consultant, you are more involved into developing new functionalities. When you come into uh, an SAP functional consultant role, the major role, I mean, most of the projects which we have worked are always into developing new things for the customer. So being a PP consultant, the major thing which you should concentrate on is understanding the actual business of manufacturing. The more you discuss on a business perspective and try to understand on how it is there in the SAP side, standard side, then I think you can make yourself make yourself see as a better consultant going ahead. So that is how you have to connect, because in the standard we will always, I mean, on a daily basis you will be doing some you will be knowing what configuration you have to do, where it is, you know how to create a material, you know how to create a bill of material. These are all these tasks maybe an end user also can do, but what different a consultant can do is he should understand the business process and how it has to be mapped to the SAP. That is the understanding a consultant should have. He shouldn't only have the knowledge of the creation of data. He should have the understanding, a deep understanding on understanding the business and how to map it to SAP. Okay. So these will be the main tasks which you will be going forward if you play a consultant role. This document preparations and design solution drafting and all these tasks will be on you. Okay. So once this documentation from the functional consultant perspective is uh, one of the role that he has to perform. Other than this, a functional consultant has to play a role of requirement gathering from the business. Okay, so you have when there is a requirement gathering, there you have as being a functional consultant, you have to approach business, and if there is any requirement, you have to take that as a requirement. You have to draft that requirement. Okay, and you have to make him understand is this is what they require, and you have to make it convince, and you have to take an approval from them that yes, this is the requirement. So all these tasks again comes into a functional consultant role. And trust me, being a PP consultant, I have what I have experienced is you will be put into a role where you will be interacting directly with the customers, which is a very good factor for you. But in case when you talk about other modules like SD or FI, uh, the interaction, because the teams are big, and you have a larger team where there will be people who can guide you, or who can keep you inside and they can interact to the customer. But when you are a PP consultant, there will be more chances that you will be directly interacting with the customer, because generally the team size in manufacturing, they keep it very less compared to FI or ST or MM. Okay, the projects which I have worked in, uh, I was always only consultant who has to counter the business. Okay, so if compared to the other modules, there were more consultants. So this is a good opportunity which you will be having when you are handling modules like manufacturing or other modules, maybe like QM, EHS. All these modules are very good modules. Okay, so try and understand whenever we are having a sessions on a business perspective rather than just understanding what is there in SAP. Okay, I will suggest you or guys to go through some production processes. You can refer in YouTube, or you can refer in any articles or anything. You just go through and understand the complete end-to-end manufacturing businesses. How what are the what is the product and how they are manufactured, what are the operations they go through. You If you understand that, and after that you come to know what is there in SAP now. Okay, that will give you a lot of ease to become a better consultant. Okay, so on this note, we will be trying to close for it today. Maybe we can take from the next Saturday. Maybe Rajesh can mm, can reply on the timing front if there is a change. Yes, I am okay even if it is 8 p.m. on Saturday and Sundays, and even I'm okay if it is 8 a.m. in the morning also. So both timings are okay for me. But it is Rajesh. You can take the majority voting, and you can just reply back to me. On this note, I will be closing. If there are any questions, please ask me for more 5 minutes. We will be having a session, and from the next session, we will be starting from the enterprise structure. Okay. Yeah. It's with you all now. Thank you.
Hi Vasu, Ashish
Yeah.
here. Can I get the today's demo recording session, because my video is not playing like due to unforeseen reasons. So like, whom should I
I think
supposed to ask? Rajesh or like?
Rajesh will be the coordinator, and
Oh,
he will give you the requirement. Okay.
okay.
So I hope everyone who is there. So my sessions I will try and cover the sessions more on a real time perspective, and I believe that will help you a lot. Instead of going for a training and just knowing what is there in SAP, we should know what actually happens in as what actually happens while playing a functional consultant role before a customer. Okay, so we should understand even in that way. We will we will take some examples. I will bring up some examples where I have come across. I will share the formats of some documents, how they should be represented and all, so that it will be easy for you when you get into the role. It will be easy to follow up the same documentations, because most of the clients have the same set of data in the documentation. Maybe the footer and the header data may be getting changed, but the content wise it should be the same. And functional consultant is the only person who will be responsible for that. Okay, so um, going ahead, I will be discussing more real-time scenarios which we come across, and that will be helping you to understand in a more better way. Yes. So yeah, any questions again?
Hey, Vasu,
Yeah.
this is Rajveer.
Mhm.
This is regarding to the job postings I've seen for PP mostly. So when somebody writes SAP manufacturing, is it PP or is it some other module?
Yes. So generally in some areas you will be seeing SAP manufacturing as a module, but SAP manufacturing comes up with a PP. Okay, so generally manufacturing in sense they are not mentioning whether it is specific to a discrete or PPPI or something. But when in some cases they will be clearly mentioning if it is a PP, then it is specifically for a discrete. And if in some cases they mention it as a PPPI, which is a process industry. Okay,
Process
so
industry,
you
correct.
can even understand, uh, but it is not clear even in all the cases. But what I suggest, when you go with a profile in Naukri or something, you try to get the keywords which the job postings have. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes they're very vague in the sense
Yeah.
they just mention manufacturing. So
Correct. So
I'm confused. That's right.
So if you have those keywords, right? I mean, maybe a manufacturing, SAP PP. Some places you will be not finding SAP PP, you will be finding SAP production planning. Okay.
Correct.
So when Naukri,
That's understandable. I mean,
yeah,
because
that's
we
what,
have been using day in and day out that thing.
yeah.
Okay. One other thing, just to not to take much time of others. I completely the three categories in SAP PP, or rather a manufacturing, repetitive, process, and discrete. Which is the mostly, like, from knowledge perspective, I cannot learn all the three. I mean, they are totally different and complex in their own regard. So which is the most required, or in demand kind of thing? I my gut feeling is discrete, but do you have any other viewpoint?
yeah. So when you see, when you are entering an industry, okay, maybe as an SAP PP consultant, the standard wise, discrete is the process which you should go for. If you talk about a process industry, I will say process industry, even 80% it is same. Okay. There are few delta understandings which you have to understand uh, when you go for a process industry. Okay. So I don't think it is, if you understand a discrete manufacturing, you cannot work on process industry. That's not the right understanding, because once you are a PP consultant, you know the complete end-to-end business. Only thing you have to extend is few areas where process industries are involved, how a process industries is being executed. So if you touch that area, as you can also be a process industry PI consultant, I mean a PPPI consultant also. But people just being a PP consultant, what I suggest is, don't confine yourself only to a discrete manufacturing area. Maybe for initial days you can say
No,
that,
to start with. So
to start with. But if you even say that you have worked on a process industries, that will be even good, because what nowadays happening is, more product based companies, more pharma companies are coming up to recruit directly the SAP consultants. Okay. So they require, from a PP perspective, there are more openings in process industry side. Okay. So that is one area you can even look for. So there is an advantage even if you extend it to a process industry. I will
and
suggest.
from
Yeah.
training perspective, will be focusing more towards
I
discrete, or it will be
can come back to it, but what I will suggest is, I will go through end-to-end discrete. Okay.
okay.
And see, I mean, how it is say we have a work center in discrete. We term the same thing in process industry as resource. Okay. We have a production version. Say we in discrete, I mean, and there is something called a recipe. Uh, the naming convention has got changed. Okay. Maybe a small, maybe somewhere the small little functionalities, understandings, maybe there is a change, but almost it is the same which we are looking in discrete. I mean, as per the SAP overview, it is always the same. But on an understanding front from the business side, yes, you have to differentiate. Okay. So what I will do is, I will run end to end on on a discrete, but I will keep keep 1 or 2 sessions for process industry, and I will discuss the delta parts of understanding on how a process industry is different. Okay, that will make you feel better. Okay.
Thanks.
Okay. Okay. Okay, then if there are
Vasu, one quick question, Rahul, this side. If we start by next week, which is essentially the end of March, so
Yeah.
it will take around 1.5 months, right? Or close to 2 months.
close to 2 months, but you never know. I mean, we have kept a buffer of more 4 to 6 hours.
Okay.
So let us see. I mean, I have kept a buffer up to 8 hours, because the main perspective is to deliver it with a good understanding rather than finishing it on time. Okay, so yeah.
So by end of May, like March, April, May, yeah. By around the end of May, we'll be more or less done with this. And after that, then an advanced batch will start for those who want to like enroll in
Yeah,
that.
there are 2 batches which are
Mhm.
going to start. One is an advanced batch, and there is another batch for quality management. So people who are interested for to go into an advanced, they can go, and quality management also is available.
So
Because in
so
March,
as
yeah,
yeah, sorry, you said quality management. That's a different. That will be a different
yeah,
module altogether,
module,
right?
yeah. Why
Okay.
they are offering for only for PP students is, as
Mhm.
you know, in market, if you what I felt is, if you have a combination of PP and QM, there is a very good demand for PP and QM combination. And once you become a PP consultant, I think you know the end to end of PP, and I don't think learning a small module, I will not say a small module, but conceptually you will feel very easy to learn QM very in a very faster way. So you can just extend to QM, and if you drop it in your resume, then you will be having a very good opportunities, because ideally now what is happening is, in all the requirements, if you go through, they are expecting a PP, a QM consultant, most of the job.
Mm.
So you can have it, and just to have a knowledge in QM and mentioning it in resume will help you. Is what I feel.
So Vasu, that will also start once the basic PP basic is done, right?
Yes, yes.
So then eventually it will branch out into either a PP if you want to take a PP advanced batch or a QM batch. Am
Yes,
I correct?
yes, yes.
Okay, but that'll happen in June and early
Yeah,
June
after
once
that,
this is
yes,
done.
yes. Yeah, once this is done.
And Vasu, one more question. Just I was hearing someone ask that they were asking about whether manufacturing is essentially production planning. There are some more things like the latest DMC, the Digital Manufacturing Cloud, is there, and then certain
Mhm.
trainings on manufacturing execution and manufacturing implementation, which are
Mhm.
I won't say different, but although they like it has more analytics involved in it and dashboards and all in the cloud versions, Digital Manufacturing Cloud. So won't we in SAP terminology, I know that this is the core, production planning is the core and will remain the core of manufacturing, uh, but isn't the terminology now being manufacturing tending more towards those certifications and those sort of manufacturing specific modules which we have? I won't call them modules. Module remains PP, the base, but
Mhm.
there are certain manufacturing related certifications and all courses coming up. So just your take on that.
What I felt is, I mean, yes, there are other things which have come up. But when you are mentioning SAP manufacturing, and always what I have seen, whenever there is a requirement mentioning SAP manufacturing, and I have went through the job description of it, they always mention things about SAP PP. Okay, so I will say that they are only targeting a PP consultant who can take over that role. And if you are talking about a manufacturing execution and all, yes, there are separate job listings where they need an MES consultant. Okay, so that is a different. That is completely a different area where expertise. Okay, because a PP consultant who has worked on a PP module uh, cannot directly go and work on a manufacturing execution. Okay, he should learn because the interface is different. The triggering of transactions are different. Everything is different in a manufacturing MES. So there are separate requirements for MES for manufacturing execution. So that can be separately categorized, I would say.
Yeah, exactly. Actually, that was even I sometimes got a bit confused because like MES and DMC and other even manufacturing engineering and those parts touching into manufacturing, and obviously PP remaining the standalone pillar.
SAP will be the standard. Maybe these are the interfaces, or I will say these are the third-party systems which SAP is integrated to, and maybe there is some data flow between these two areas systems. Maybe there is the actual production is running in an MES, okay, and the data is getting stored into SAP. Okay, that may be a case, but
sure.
But it's not like in SAP PP you are doing something related to MES. Okay.
Sure. Thanks, Vasu. Thanks for answering.
Thank you.
Hi, Vasu.
Yeah, hi.
Yeah, in the current situation, we have to get the job in the PP. Is it required to the SAP certified course, SAP certified certification, or without we have to get the job in without that with SAP certification course?
I believe this course what we are designing is for an SAP certification, and to gain a knowledge on SAP PP module. Okay. If you talk to me on the job front, see, I mean, some very minimal, but in some places I have seen they have a requirement. If you have a minimal SAP PP knowledge and you know you have a domain experience, you are being considered in some cases. Okay, but and there are trust me, there are many minimal chances if you are a fresher in PP and you don't have a certification even. Okay, so that will be a minimal chance. But what I suggest is you get the knowledge of SAP PP. You go for a certification, an S4 HANA certification. What I believe is in the near future there will be n number of projects coming into S4 HANA area. So obviously there will be a lot of requirements where you can get a chance. So that is how you should get it.
Okay, thank you.
Fine then. I hope it's for all of us. It's a Sunday. I hope we started off with a good thing today. Have a nice day to all. Thank you. And have a nice day.
Vasu, what about the timings? Have we come to a consensus?
Maybe Rajesh will communicate on that to everyone. Rajesh, I hope he is there. But I will let this Rajesh know to communicate this all. But I am okay with any timing. So it depends on on you guys. If you want at 8 p.m., it's also fine.
Because I guess Rajesh is he there on the
I will let
in the
him.
meeting?
Yeah,
Okay.
he's
Yeah.
not. I will let him know, and he will communicate to you all. Okay.
Okay, Vasu, thanks.
So we will shoot up with the actual running session from the next week, and we will start up, as I said, with enterprise structure.
Sure.
Fine then, guys. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks, Vasu. Yeah.
Yeah, Vasu, one last question.
Okay.
Like, is this training is running on is based on like ECC or S4 HANA? Like we cover PP basics, right?
We will be covering basics. It's not like we are covering only PP basics. We will be discussing concepts in details.
Okay. So it's purely based on ECC, right? Not on
No. We will be covering details in of SAP PP, but we will run the scenarios in S4 HANA, and wherever we find the small things, small gaps where it is newly adapted in S4 HANA, we will just highlight that area. And in case if it is needed, I can show you the ECC screen at the same time, and I can show you this is the difference.
No, because I heard somewhere that in S4 HANA is only like 20 to 30% are changes. The rest are like traditional ECC only.
Yeah, the same. I mean, I from the PP side, you will not find these many changes. Wherever there will be changes, will be highlighted for you. But on a broader view, whether it is an S4 HANA or a PP or an ECC, the main thing what we have to concentrate is the concepts of production planning, which we should know.
Yeah, correct.
Okay?
Yeah.
But we will be running the scenarios on an S4 HANA system platform. Okay, and if there is any difference, we will also have an ECC ECC system, so that we can compare this is how it looks in ECC and this is how it looks in S4 HANA. That is what we can do. Okay.
Yeah, Vasu.
Yeah.
How much percentage of different from the ECC to the S4 HANA?
Not much, because here the only if I mean you have an idea on ECC how it looks like, and do you have an idea?
Yes.
Okay. So only thing is in this training session we will not going to be discussing on more differences, but because we have an advanced course, but yes, we will be highlighting a few things when we are running the scenarios, and I will try to make you understand that. But on the percentage front, I will say the MRP area and some Fiori applications and some analytics is what has got added in the S4
HANA, it is showing the simplification. What is the difference between the simplification?
Simplification. I will. I have to go. I will check that again, and I will get back to you then. Okay. Who is anyone who has specifically asked this? Who is this simplification part?
Ravi.
Okay.
Vasu, what is the version of the system you are using? The one which you are using for demo?
Is the latest
2020 or
2021 for practice. This is the 2020.
2021.
S4 HANA 2020, which we are using now for demo. And in this training, we will discuss what will change between ECC and S4 HANA. But practice 100% on S4 HANA. The trainer will tell you what was it was in ECC and what is the difference we are getting in S4 HANA. But the training purely our practice and all scenario will be run on S4 HANA 2020 system.
Okay.
Okay, then I thank you guys then.